Hello and welcome to Gregg's prostate cancer journey. This is video 5 or 4 that I've already done, and this one's going to be, I think, a final one. I might do a later one a lot further down the line, but at the moment this is the journey up until now after I've had surgery, from the beginning. I'm going to be interviewing Brian Holden, who's the chairman of PCaSO, which is the Prostate Cancer Support Group, which is based in Dorset, Hampshire and Sussex. I'm going to talk about his brachytherapy and radiotherapy, the route he took. And later I'll also talk to Geoff Brown, who's the centre manager for Macmillan Horizon Centre, the centre for all sufferers of cancer, a drop-in place that people can go to for various treatments and things. So my prostate cancer started in July 2022. That was following having some blood tests for the usual things that when I was 60, I'd already been having cholesterol tests since I was 40. There was sort of low levels of testosterone. I was on testosterone treatment, and then they started rising. So she suggested that I had a PSA blood test, which stands for prostate specific antigen. No idea what that was, but I said yes because it's free on the NHS. That came back and it showed that I had a PSA blood level of 5.95, which she said was an indication that I might have cancer. So put me forward to a urologist, who then just had an MRI scan. And in July the 14th, in fact, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He showed a 12mm lesion. So from there I had a biopsy, and that came back with a more accurate reading, telling me that I had advanced localized cancer, which basically meant it was breaking out the capsule. I've got some slides which I'll show you in a minute, but this is going to be a brief overview of what I've gone through because I want to talk to Brian and Geoff, and as I said, it's kind of an overview and me coming to the end of this. Not coming to the end of it, but this particular part of the journey, the significant part, if you like. And really, I just want to sort of keep banging on, but here's some stats for you. 1 in 8 guys get prostate cancer, notably from the age of 50. I had no symptoms whatsoever, none that I'd certainly belie me to go to the doctor and say, I've got a lump or I've got a pain or blah, blah, blah. And basically, the earlier it's caught, the less invasive is the treatment and the high success rate of survival. Prostate cancer in guys is prevalent. There is no screening test like bowel cancer. It can be indicated in a PSA blood test. An MRI scan will obviously make it a lot more accurate, or define it. Here's the slides anyway, of the various gradings. As I said, I had a Greaser scale of 7, or T, and the stage T3A, which is the bit where it's starting to become a concern. From there, I was referred to a couple of consultants who are experts in the various treatments. I was told by Mr. Coker, the first urologist that I got the face-to-face with, that he thought the best option for me was radical surgery, or robot-assisted radical surgery, where they went in and removed the prostate entirely, so I'd be prostateless. But that is, that had good levels of success, as if they could grab the whole of the cancer and get it removed. So the other journey was the radiotherapy. A little bit more invasive. That requires like 18, a few months of having hormone treatment. prepared to shrink the prostate, and then the radiotherapy beams into it and destroys the cancer cells that way. Brachytherapy, which is what Brian had, is where they actually put little bars or seeds of radiotherapy actually in the prostate to kill it that way, and then follow up with radiotherapy. Brian will talk about his treatment later. Anyway, I got to speak to the radiotherapist consultant, clinical oncologist, Mr. Angus Robinson, and he gave me all the pros and cons. Again, he was very, very confident that, you know, at the stage that I had, they could get all the cancer and it'd be a success. And I got to see Mr. Peter Remington, who's specialist urologist and surgeon, decide whether to go for the robot-assisted radical surgery, or called prostatectomy, which I can now say after a few months of trying. Big decisions. He was very confident. In both cases, there would be like some months of incontinence, and also the dreaded erectile dysfunction. You know, both come with risk on that. Again, is in time things can come back with various and treatments. So from there, really, my journey really began, because the first part is gathering all the information about the disease, the treatments, the after effects, and the recovery process. These are all detailed in my previous videos. You know, I went through the various stages when I look back on those. Anyone who's going through this, or who's just been diagnosed, you know, I hope these videos are useful. And the signposting, which is quite important, really, because there's some good things out there. I was first signposted to McMillan Cancer Support. Who immediately provided me lots and lots of reading matter, and I got really good advice from Paul, Anna, and Danny, who are the McMillan nurses there. In November, my old mate Roy Weir suggested I speak to a friend of his called Clive Hancock's, which I did, and he introduced me to PCaSO, which is the local prostate support group, as I said, based in the south here. I would urge anyone who's just been diagnosed to go to Prostate Cancer UK. That's the national charity and support group. I think on their pages they also, and the same with McMillan websites, they'll have links to all your local support groups. It's good to get local support. You know, speak to guys going through it or have had the treatment, because the whole thing is about gathering information and then make a decision based on your particular stage of the cancer and your circumstances. So from my introduction to PCaSO, which I joined, I got to meet Chris Hawkins, who we met for coffee, and he talked to me about his surgery. He had that some 6-7 years ago. Again, very positive. And then I spoke to Brian about his treatment. They both advised really to get us fit and healthy. That's the thing before the operation. Any operation, you want to get as fit as healthy as you can anyway. He was just walking, you know, up the road and back. I was walking up heavy, big, hot, long hills, and you know, having worked in an office and working at home now, don't get a lot of exercise, so that's what I did. And in December, I decided on going down the surgery route. For me, that was the best thing. I was there. They got assigned two lovely specialist nurses, Nikki Milton and Gabby Sullivan, who gave me lots of advice on how to prepare myself, what to expect, yeah, very helpful again. In January, I decided to do a big January. Big thanks to you who donated. We got £1,700, just nearly £1,700, which is fantastic. I donated that to PCaSO, and PCaSO donated some of that to get some outdoor furniture for the Macmillan Horizon Centre. So thank you very much everyone who donated to that. On the 12th of January was the big day. That's the day I had the operation at Eastbourne District General Hospital. That was conducted by Mr. Collegia, Edward Collegia, and yeah, it's amazing how these things come around. You wait for ages and then you're in there and you're having it done. And then I had the good news on the 8th of March. I saw Mr. Garnett at Eastbourne again. He said they were very pleased with the operation. Feedback that I gave them, everything looked good. They believe they got all the cancer out, from the margins and everything. So onwards and upwards. I'm off to the McMillan Center, and I'll see you in a bit. So here we are at the McMillan Center, Macmillan Horizon Centre in Brighton. We're in one of the little consultation rooms, which is the rooms they use for, one-to-one consultation, for counselling and things like that. I've got me today Brian Holden from PCaSO. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Greg. Nice to be here with you today.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, Brian. First of all, I wanted to talk about your journey with the cancer, how you discovered the disease and at what stage it was found to be at.
Okay. Well, like most men, I didn't have a clue that I had a problem with my prostate. In fact, like most men, I didn't even know what my prostate was or what it did. And I was aware that men over the age of 50 were entitled to have a PSA test by their GP, and for several years my GP dissuaded me from having a PSA test because I had none of the supposed symptoms of any problems with the prostate. So I was walking through Burgess Town Centre one Saturday afternoon and saw that a big banner from PCaSO saying that they'd got a free PSA testing day, and I just took the opportunity of going in and having a PSA test. And 2 weeks later a letter popped through the door, and I opened it, and my PSA reading, although low by comparison with some of the results we see, was only 5.4, but it was in the red zone for my age. And so I was very concerned and went to see my GP, and the GP then arranged another PSA test which concurred with the PCaSO test, and within 2 weeks I was having investigations by the Cancer Service at Royal Sussex County Hospital. Within 6 months my PSA had risen to over 12, and I went through the route of having scans, biopsies, and the outcome was that I had locally advanced prostate cancer. So the cancer was just spreading outside the gland, and my Gleason score was 4+3 and T3A, so it was quite an advanced prostate cancer, although I had no symptoms. And to this day I still have no symptoms, and so that's how it all started for me.
Yeah, that's exactly the same for me, Brian. It's the only difference between our gradings was mine was 3+4, but T3A, and Gleason score of 7, and absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. Well, like me, I expect on first receiving the news, you found it all quite daunting, quite and probably overwhelming with all the information that you had to digest. What led you to decide that the radiotherapy treatment was your best option?
Okay, so I was given 2 options by the urologist, one of which was to have a radical prostatectomy and the other was to have radiotherapy. I met the surgeon who described to me how prostatectomy would take place, robotic surgery over in Eastbourne, and considered that. And I then met with the oncologist who fully described the high dose rate brachytherapy, which is where the radiotherapy treatment is put directly into the prostate, followed by external beam radiotherapy. And after discussion with several members of PCaSO who had the treatments of radical prostatectomy and the brachytherapy with external beam, I decided to opt for radiotherapy with high dose brachytherapy. And my main reason for that was I was concerned with some of the side effects of radical prostatectomy and thought that for me radiotherapy was the best route, and that was 6 years ago. So I'm quite happy with the way my treatment has gone. But all men are very different. We all have different symptoms, different gradings of cancers, and different lifestyle requirements, and the choice is solely down to us men as individuals, sometimes discussing with the family, but the main thing is to get experience and knowledge from those that have had the treatments you're being offered. And that's where the support group of PCaSO comes into its own, because we have within our 900 members men that have had all the available treatments that either privately or in the NHS.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that as you said, everyone is different, every guy is different with different circumstances, different levels, and it is a decision that you have to come to, which is what makes it daunting, because there's so much information. But you know, organisations like PCaSO are invaluable, and I found it invaluable. My next question was that I found the support McMillan gave me very useful, very helpful, and also support from PCaSO. I did actually ask, you've answered this already actually, how did you come across PCaSO? But you were just walking through the high street, was you?
That's right, yes. Yeah, I just walked in as what we call them drop-ins. I'm now very much involved with PCaSO and attend lots of PSA testing events. And the main thing is, the message to all men over the age of 50 is to get the PSA test done, regardless of what your GP tells you. You must insist, get it done. And if you've got a family history, if you've got direct blood relatives, if your mother's had breast cancer, for instance, or you're Black or African Caribbean, then get tested earlier, especially those that have those links. So I would say anybody over 45 that has direct blood relatives, then get tested earlier.
Yeah, I think that's vitally important. And Brian, how did you find the actual treatment?
Yeah, so the treatment process was excellent, as always with our NHS. I went in for one day, had general anaesthetic first thing in the morning. Brachytherapy treatment is very straightforward and easy. You have a template stitched to your perineum, and tubes are...
Where's your perineum?
Perineum.
Perineum.
It's between the your dangly bits at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it comes, the tubes are inserted into your prostate, into specific areas which have been identified by the scans. And after that, you just wait until they're ready for you to go into the treatment room where the radioactive material is directed directly into your prostate and targets the exact position of the cancers. And you'll then come out of the treatment room and you go into recovery until the time is deemed right for you to go. So normally you'd only be in for about half a day, but in my case I was in the whole day and overnight because I was second on the list. But it was a very straightforward procedure, not difficult, not painful. And then I was, several weeks later, I was followed up with external beam radiotherapy, which is where you go into a machine and the radiotherapy is then targeted into the area of the prostate that needs to be further treated. And throughout the whole system with the NHS, it was absolutely brilliant, absolutely fine. And follow-up support from clinical nurse specialist and my consultant was absolutely spot on.
That's good to hear. Brian, I see you're very active now. You're always out on your bike up on the South Downs there. How are you feeling now after your treatment? I mean, your treatment was some years ago, so how do you feel now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually, I should have referred back to that as well. When I was going through treatment, I was always, you've got to be completely and totally positive in a good outcome. And I've always been into exercise and fitness and healthy eating, and throughout my treatment I was always cycling and walking daily, and tiredness is one of the potential side effects, but you have to push yourself, and if you don't push yourself then it does become harder for you. So you must prepare your body and mind for going through, and always be positive, because prostate cancer is very treatable and beatable if it's caught early and treated well. But you've got to look after your own body to make sure you're good for it. And so cycling and walking, I carried on. I still cycle thousands of kilometres a year up on the South Downs. The radiotherapy though did cause quite a lot of muscle wastage, and I'm undoubtedly weaker than I was before treatment, but the main thing is I'm still alive, and I had my mountain bike converted to an e-bike so that I could carry on doing the long journeys up on the South Downs and the big hills and carry on with life as it used to be. And so I've now gone through the treatment phase. I'm on no drugs whatsoever. And
that's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that I had the early diagnosis and got treated very quickly.
Now, how long ago was your treatment, Brian?
It was about 5 or 6 years ago. I must add that I did have a couple of years after the treatment on the prostate, my PSA started rising again, and for several months we did think it was what they call the bounce.
Yes.
So after radiotherapy you can have this PSA rise, but it then drops again. Unfortunately in my case it didn't drop, and in the end I had several more scans and bone scans to find where the cancer had got to, and it couldn't be found with the then available technology, and I was very lucky to go to UCLH in London and have a special PSMA PET scan where I believe the drug or the radioactive material they put into your body is gallium, and that enables very small cancers to be found, and mine was found to be in the pelvic lymph node area, and I then subsequently went back and had more hormone treatment prior to another 15 sessions of radiotherapy. So I effectively had about 50 doses of radiotherapy, and that was 3 years ago complete, so I'm absolutely fine.
That's good.
PSA is quite stable, testosterone's come back, which is always good for a man, so
Yes.
I'm quite happy with the outcome of all of my treatment.
That's great, yeah. So yes, Brian, what you're saying about getting fit, I think that's fair to say for all the treatments that you have to do, really. You know, whether it's radiotherapy, brachytherapy, or prostate. I still have problems saying that.
Prostatectomy.
Prostatectomy. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, important to do the pelvic floor exercises, and yeah, walking, cycling, if that's what you do, get us fit before and maintain that afterwards. I mean, McMillan, I'm now enrolled into a fitness thing once a week, you know, for a program, just to get, you know, because I work at a desk, but for all treatments, really, get fit beforehand as much as you can, and afterwards maintain that when you're able to. Moving on to PCaSO, what are the things that PCaSO, the organisation, what do they provide? For me, it was great to get perspectives from, you know, the options of the treatments from yourself and Chris and some other of the PCaSO members. I found it invaluable. But yeah, if you can give me a little overview of PCaSO.
Yeah, I was with PCaSO. We have branches in Sussex, Hampshire and Dorset, and we've got a total membership of about 900, but over the 20 years since PCaSO was formed, we've had over 1,000 men joining and moving through the organisation. PCaSO is run entirely with volunteers, and we have really two active arms of PCaSO. One of them is PSA testing, and we arrange PSA testing days throughout the 3 counties, organised in conjunction with maybe the Masons or the Lions or some other charitable organisation. And last year we tested about 4,000 men in Sussex, and to give an indication, 300 of those men came back with high readings, either red or amber.
Wow.
And we personally contact all of them afterwards to offer them support, and over 50 of those men have come back and confirmed that the PSA readings that PCaSO gave them were confirmed by their GPs, and they all subsequently have moved on to further investigation. And sometimes high readings don't mean you've got cancer. You could have had an infection, at the time the blood sample was taken, or you could have an enlarged prostate there, and you could have done physical exercise at the time, very close to when the test was being taken, and that can influence your PSA result. So high PSA doesn't mean you've got prostate cancer, but it does mean that you just need to be aware and inform your GP, and then you'll be checked out further. So we hold those all around Sussex, and currently this year there are about 10 planned, and again we'll be testing maybe up to 4,000 or 5,000 men in that period.
Yeah, I think the next one's April the 1st in Hove, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
2023, should
Yeah.
say.
So the details of the testing days can be found on the PCaSO website, and Gregg will give you the details of the links and that sort of thing.
I'll be putting links up on the
end.
Yeah.
The other arm of activities of PCaSO are support, and the service we try to offer is to help men by explaining our own journey with prostate cancer, and talk about the side effects that we've experienced. We can't in any way offer professional advice as to what you should do about your prostate or your prostate cancer, but we do offer the support from other men that have gone through exactly what you would be going through if you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer and have to have treatment. And that's the beauty of the organisation. We have regular Zoom presentations by professionals. We have medical advisors. We have a professor from UCLH. We have the senior oncologist down in Brighton and Sussex, who is one of our medical advisors. And we publish and produce a booklet called Knowledge Empowers, which
I found that very helpful.
Yeah, and that runs through all the different aspects of prostate cancer and treatment, right through from diagnosis through to all the treatment options available. So you are able to research a lot of information from PCaSO's Knowledge Empowers, which is available also on the website. We've also produced a booklet called Healthy Living, where we talk about exercise and dietary requirements. And again, the booklet has been put forward and compiled by the volunteer members, all have had good experience of what's in the book, and it's all been checked by nutritionalists, professional nutritionalists and other medical people. So we are a charity, and we have really good contacts within the medical profession, and we can always ask questions of them to give further support. One thing I forgot to say when I was going through my treatment, apart from joining PCaSO very early on, was that I was advised by an oncologist to look at specific websites for information, and those websites were McMillan,
Yeah.
Prostate Cancer UK,
Yeah.
and Sussex Cancer Fund, and Cancer Research UK. And those were the main organisations that were recommended to me, because like all things on the web, you'll find all sorts of stories and information that's not entirely accurate. And so it's better, from my point of view, it was better to stay with UK-based professional charities that that know what they're talking about.
That's what McMillan advised me, the specialist nurses, which is, yeah, there's a lot of information out there, isn't there, but it's best to keep to the UK ones. Although I did dip into some American ones, but you have to bear in mind that the treatments are different, but the health service in America is somewhat different to over here.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
You get different treatments in different countries because they all have their own rules and regulations and approvals for the type of treatments that are available. So it's better definitely to stay with our local charities in the UK.
Well, thank you, Brian. That's been really informative. Thanks for your time today. So, hi, Geoff. Thanks for meeting me at the Macmillan Horizon Centre. So, what is your role at the centre?
Hi, Greg. My name, as you say, is Geoff Brown. I'm the Centre Manager at the Macmillan Horizon Centre.
Okay. How long has the centre been here in Brighton?
So the Horizon Centre opened in November 2016. So we've now been here 7 years. Well, coming up 7 years. So yeah.
I see you offer many services around here, Geoff. What services do you provide for people affected by cancer?
So the Horizon Centre offers a wide range of support. So we have an information lounge where people can come in and just access information about cancer, but that's also a space people can just use. We've got comfortable chairs and seating, tea and coffee. So if you've got time between appointments or before an appointment or after an appointment, or if you've got a loved one that's come with you, that's a space that they can just use and just use the space to help manage the time and to recuperate. Also have volunteers there who can chat with people and just give that kind of chance to talk about your experience, and they can signpost you to any of the information. And the volunteers in the front desk can also register people onto some of the support services we have. So we have a wide range. So we have a welfare benefits service that's based here. So that's delivered in partnership with Citizens Advice. So that can help support people to work out what benefits they might be entitled to, or if there's any other support that they could get to help them with their finances. And we have a number of quiet rooms that we use for counselling services. So they're all delivered by volunteers who are qualified and able to provide that support. And that's usually up to 12 sessions that people can access. And for a lot of people, that can be particularly maybe after they finish their medical treatment, that they can really get a sense that suddenly the emotional impact of their cancer can hit them. And the volunteers and the counselling service really provides an opportunity to talk that through and think about how to move on from your cancer diagnosis. We also have a range of complementary therapy rooms, and that includes things like massage, aromatherapy, reflexology, Reiki, and also acupuncture. And it's very important to stress the word is complementary rather than sometimes people say alternative.
Yeah.
But it's complementary, and it's really to complement the healthcare support that people are getting, and mainly is sort of looking at dealing with some of the symptoms of the treatment, so the consequences of the treatment, which could be stress. So a massage can help people relax and feel more relaxed and able to cope with the stress, or it could be to deal with some other specific symptoms. So for a massage, sometimes after surgery, people particularly tighten up some muscle groups, so it can be to help relax and loosen those. Or with acupuncture, it sometimes can be targeted at things like hot flushes or nausea and also fatigue. So they're really supporting people with those things. We also have some hairdressing volunteers, and they're particularly helpful for people maybe who are going to lose their hair because of their chemotherapy. And that can sometimes people like to have the hair cut very short before it falls out, or also when it grows back, it can be quite long. So it can really help people with that. And it's quite nice for those people to come to a place like here to see a hairdresser rather than going to their usual hairdressers, because they don't have to explain themselves. Yeah. And the volunteer are used to providing that kind of service. And in the same areas, we have the complementary therapy and the counselling. We have a quiet room that we call our light and sound therapy room, and that's just a space people can go and sit, and it has some very coloured images that change very slowly, and some acoustic sound, and it's like a kind of mindfulness. So if you pay attention to the sound and the light, it helps you to stop worrying about the things that you've worried about, and breaks a train of thought. So we also have a large activity space upstairs, and we run a number of group activities. So we have a cooking workshop that runs up there, and we have a partner called Look Good Feel Better that comes in and runs a makeover session for women, and Albion in the community, the community arm of the football club, come in and run some physical activity sessions. And we also have some volunteers who do some yoga and Pilates sessions up there, and we run some other sessions that are activity based. So we have an art group, and we have had theatre, and we've tried other physical activities, and also we have some walking groups that walk from there. And the other people that use the centre are some of the peer support groups. So the Breast Cancer Support Group and PCaSO would use the space for meetings, often in the evening. The other space that we have in the centre is a cafe, which is, for us, a very important way of giving people a chance to come into the centre without really needing to worry about what's going to happen to them when they come in. They just need to think whether they want a cup of tea or coffee.
Yes, nice area.
Yeah, that gives people a chance just to try. And then we have sandwiches made on site with some very lovely bread from a local bakery, also some cakes, and we do jacket potatoes and soups. So it's not a big menu, but it's just a refreshing environment, and we find that actually sometimes people come in there and they start chatting to other people, and they can get support that way. So the person that manages the cafe also manages a community allotment that we have up in Five Ways on the top of the hill of Brighton.
Yeah.
And we run 2 gardening workshops. In Brighton, many people will either have a very small backyard or live in flats, and it's really nice for them to have the chance to go to our community allotment as well. And we're looking over the coming year to really try to expand on that and do more up there as well. So we also have volunteers that go out into the hospital, so to some of the treatment areas, to be able to be there and chat to people whilst they're waiting for appointments. And that's something we're trying to do more of over the coming year, is to have our volunteers going out into the community as well, particularly to areas and to communities where people maybe aren't coming to us as well. So just to make sure that we can get support to everybody. So during the lockdown, we started quite a lot of support online.
Yeah. And
we've actually been keeping some of those things going. So every week we have a breathing workshop that's online. We have a session that we call Horizon Connect, which is online and just a chance to meet other people together, so like a virtual support group. And also we run other things. We've got a book club, a yoga nidra session. And the great thing about those, which is what people liked, is that you don't have to get up and come to the centre. You can just do that in your home. The other nice thing about that is actually the volunteers who deliver it also can do it from home. So the breathing workshop, the volunteer that does that, he's delivered that session from his home, which is just on the outskirts of Brighton, but also from Delhi, New York and Australia. Wow. And he's just been able to get up and wherever he was, carry on and do that session, which is another benefit of online stuff. And we have done some other health and wellbeing workshops online as well. We're just looking to bring those back to face-to-face as well. So the health and wellbeing workshops are really aimed at people who are just completing their treatment, and they include a little bit on healthy eating, a bit on emotional support, and a bit on fatigue and keeping more physically active, and then just checking in to signpost and make sure people are aware of what support's available. And we've been doing those as I say, virtually over the last couple of years, but we're looking to start them face to face later this year. And there are some other courses we run. So we run a course called HOPE, which stands for Help Overcoming Problems Effectively, and that's delivered through our partner in the hospital, and is really again aimed at people talking through how to move on from their cancer diagnosis, particularly as they come towards the end of their treatment. So hopefully I probably missed some things, but hopefully that gives you a sense of quite a breadth
of lot of services
what we're able to offer here.
And these are all volunteer, mainly volunteer-led?
Yeah, most of what we do is volunteer-led. So we at the moment we have about 130 volunteers that are helping to deliver those support services, and that's quite a range. So some, like the counsellors and the complementary therapies, are professionally qualified in their area. Many of those people have got private practices and are just volunteering here once a week or every other week. And some are like the people who volunteer to help run the cafe or our information service. We have 10 people who volunteer to help us with administration and just to make sure that everything in the background works smoothly. So the volunteers really are very important in helping us to offer the support that we have at the centre. So
yeah, Geoff, that's an awful lot of services, and McMillan Cancer Support and the Horizon Centre here, PCaSO, they've all been helpful in my journey, really have. Well, thanks for your time today. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I really would encourage people to access support if they feel they need it. I mean, I think one of the biggest barriers we have in providing support to people is people not making that choice to reach out and get support. And the group that is probably the worst at that, if I had to choose one group, is men. So if anybody that's watching this, if you're a man, please do think that this is a place that's here for you, and just come in. You don't have to worry about somebody pouncing on you and making you talk about how you feel.
Get
you
a coffee come in a cafe.
Yeah, come and get a coffee, get a cake, use the space. You can come to an Albion, the community session. We've got photography session. We've got, you can go gardening, do different things. Macmillan, it's the same with our support line and other services. 70% of the take-up of our services is by women, so only 30% by men, but cancer is 50-50. So that means really, so that would be my last sort of plea. Please, if you're a man and you're watching this, please do come and get support from us, or just come in and find out what we do.
Well, thank you, Geoff. I think that covers it. And absolutely. And again, it's that those figures 70-30%. So, guys, check it out and get your PSA blood test, especially if you're over 50. So, thanks for your time today, Geoff. So finally, I think you get the gist really that us blokes aren't very good at sort of checking out our symptoms. I didn't venture to start, I didn't have any symptoms at all. So, had my doctor not put me forward for a PSA blood test, I would have been on the wiser. It could have been 2 or 3 years down the line. Then I finally had a PSA test, and it might have been a lot more aggressive, or even too late. When I asked the doctor, when I asked the surgeon, actually, Mr. Remington, how long he thought, I had the cancer, and he said, "Oh, years." That was a real surprise, just a surprise. So there you go, guys. Do get yourself checked out. It's just so important, and you might and insist, like Brian said, insist on getting a PSA blood test. That PCaSO are offering in the south of England PSA blood testing sessions. They have one on the 1st of April 2023 and Hove. And all these details are put up in the comments below in this video. There'll be a woman in Worthing and various places. Also check out Prostate Cancer UK. They have a list of all support groups, you know, for the north of, you know, Scotland, Wales. They'll have listed there, because they may have the similar things that PCaSO offer. I'd like to thank so many people really who's helped me on this journey. It's been incredible. My wife Kathy's been amazing. It's, you know, your partner is, you know, they suffer too because there's not a lot they can do, but they can offer, you know, support, and that's just so good. Also all my friends, all my Facebook friends have come up, and working colleagues. It's been terrific, really. And also the Just Giving, my Dry January raised just short £1,700 now, but some of that money is gone to PCaSO. I should mention my family as well. They've been brilliant. And of course the bandmates who've had to take a step back from, you know, our usual rehearsals, you know. So just to conclude, because I may do one of these further down the line, but we'll see really. But you know, thanks for tuning in, thanks for all your support, and see you down the pub or at a gig or festival. So all the best. Thank you and good night.